Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. Sokka here with another episode of Kerbal Space Program 1.2 Career Mode. Our new goal is to put an orbital station around Minmus. So obviously we need to get to Minmus, and we need to have a new station that has an antenna, which is located right over here. It also needs a docking port, which we will put on right there. It also needs to have generating power. We have solar panels here and batteries, 500 units of mono propellant, which I have 525 here, and maintain stability. Now I have this attached to a Poodle engine here, so once we are stable, we can bring these guys home, or at least in Kerbal orbit, so we can dock with them and rescue them here. Pushing this along, I have 2 orange tanks with a skipper, or I'm sorry, a mainsail, and 4 of these outside boosters. 5 Kerbals are on board this mission. So our heaviest launch so far. So let's SAS on, let's full power, and let's get going to Minmus. Hopefully, these 2 orange tanks will at least get us into orbit, and this second booster section will be able to transfer us over to Minmus with no problem. At least that's my hope. A fairly simple mission here, but we've got all of the standard 3 crew here, Jebediah, Bill, and Bob. We also have Liz, Reen, and Sigsy on board to complete our manifest. Yeah, this is working quite well, I would say. I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch, but it's looking like a pretty good launch. So I am going to do the thing that I've been doing in the last couple episodes and just speed on through this launch for you. You can sit back and relax, and I will see you when we are transferring to Minmus. So sit back and enjoy the ride. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are setting our sights on Minmus. We are doing the trans-Minmus injection right here. That was a nice eclipse from the moon there by the sun. It sort of wreaked havoc with our solar panels, but we are fine indeed. All we need to do with this section is just to get to Minmus, get into an orbit, and then maintain stability for 10 seconds, and we get paid. And then we can come back to the confines of Kerbal orbit, perhaps, and maybe even dock 2 craft together. That might not be too bad. Just send up a small craft here to dock up with this guy and fulfill that contract, because we've been sitting on that one for quite some time. Even though we have docked several spaceships together, it hasn't been 2 separate spacecraft since the contract was accepted in Kerbal orbit. So we'll we'll do some tweaking. Just get into orbit and then come back and get settled in. It wouldn't be anything to launch a very small spacecraft with a docking port on the top of it to complete that challenge. Just to get some more money, more fame and fortune perhaps. But there we go. Maneuver complete. We are encountering Minmus. And I don't want to circularize. I just want to get close enough to cross into the sphere of influence, and then we will essentially get into a highly eccentric orbit. There's old Minmus. Park for 10 seconds, and then we will be good. Here comes the Minmus encounter. Just moments away, well, 44 minutes is moments in galactic terms. So here we go, we will cross the border into Minmus, then we will just head out to our periaps and slow down enough to get in orbit. Any kind of orbit will do. Just a touch. Something like that, that is fine. So 22 seconds to burn. We will be captured. We'll just hang there for 10 seconds, fulfill that contract, which is worth quite a bit of dough, and we shall be good. We'll tell Valentina to point retrograde. Or no, this I guess would be Sigsy flying this thing. So we will tell Sigsy to point retrograde. Essentially burn at T-minus 11, become captured, and then just return to Kerbal and sort of park, where we, in the next episode, perhaps we will dock up with these craft and finally fulfill those requirements here. We should have plenty of fuel if we can catch a mission where someone is stranded in orbit, let's say. We could do that. Although I don't believe I have any space left in my lander can. But there we go. We should be captured. We are waiting for stability for 10 seconds. There we go. So our station is... Oh, we are not in the orbit of Minmus. We need to slow down. Okay. Fair is fair. Oh, did we go too much? I think we did. Yeah, we need to slow right down. There we go. So we have fulfilled that contract. We got $435,000 for essentially just building this craft for, I think it was 60 or 70. So quite a good return here. And now we can actually use this to return home. Let's add a maneuver. And go back to Kerbal as best we can. Something like that. 878. We need to get it pretty close. Say a nice 100,000 orbit will do. We can tweak it once we get there. So 14 seconds is all we need for that. Let us return home the hero. Warp to the next maneuver, please. And it's a 5-day orbit. Yeah, we're only moving at 36 meters a second. We could land this whole thing on the surface, but I'm not going to. Can't be bothered. Although one thing I am interested in, though, is essentially putting on some bigger solar panels and generating more power and getting back to the drilling mission. Unfortunately, when I wanted to do the drilling mission, we didn't have the Gigantor XL solar panels, but now we do, thanks to that previous excursion to Duna. So I believe that could be our next goal. I mean, a surface scanning satellite put to waste certainly isn't good. All right, we will just fast forward, get out of Minmus' sphere of influence, and then slow down some more to 100,000 meters. 99.8 should be good enough. Now let's park this thing if we can. Let's park this right down. We want to keep on going. We want this on the periapse, and we want to keep on going till this flips. That's quite a stop that we have to make. 98 by 114. Essentially, I think what we can do then is we can just burn as much as we've got, and then it should be close enough to Kerbal inside the moon's orbit that we don't get flung out, although that would certainly be bad if we did get flung out. We've got a lot of speed to kill once we hit, bye moon, once we reach our periapsis here. We want to essentially burn at the 30-second mark and just burn for everything we've got. Here we go. I think we have a minute of fuel left in this thing. That would certainly be nice if we did. If not, like I said, our orbit should be small enough, yeah, that we're not in the moon's sphere of influence. Essentially, we're just parking, which is fine. I want to be close enough that I can send up a spacecraft with a docking port and not really have to worry about it. So this is where we are definitely getting diminishing returns on our speed. It didn't take that long at all to get under the moon's orbit, but now that we're really trying to slow down here, it's taxing. Taxing indeed on the engine. But this may be where we are parked. 98 by, waiting for this thing to sort of flip around here. 109 by 93. We could finagle that a little bit. We have just a tiny smidge of fuel, so the more we can get this equatorial, the better. So let's add a maneuver node here and try to get this thing as level as possible. We'll want to do that where it crosses the space center here. And we want to add a maneuver, and we want to come right down equatorial. A 12-second burn. We can do that, I think. Let's go normal. No, we want to go anti-normal. 26 minutes until our point. Warping to the next maneuver, and we are going to park it and call it a day. And then I have to ask myself, well, there goes a piece of debris. I have to ask myself, as a YouTube series, would this be worth continuing? My thoughts are a lot of people tuned in for the tutorial, and then once career mode drags on, it starts getting open-ended. The contracts lend themselves to doing the same things over and over again, and you know, I could set out and go to new places and do new things, but essentially it would be seeing more of the same over and over again, and I don't know if that is conducive to video or not. So if you have any opinions on the future of this series, and if you want to see it continue and see it keep on going, then please let me know. I'm definitely open to any suggestions you have as far as destinations or challenges you want to see me do. I'm sure a bunch of people may say, land on Eve, land on, you know, Duna and come back. And that's something I could do, but that requires a lot of time and prep on my behalf. And I just have to stick with things I can do in, say, an hour. So the long drawn out the long drawn out feeling of going to a new place and doing the same thing over and over again might not be appealing. So I'm just getting a feel. If you're enjoying this series and want me to see it, if you want me to continue it, if you want to see me continue, feel free to let me know. If it's getting stale, feel free to let me know that too. And if you want to see me do something in particular in Kerbal Space Program, let me know that as well, and I will be happy to do my best to accommodate. So once we park here, we'll be good to go. We will spend our last bit of fuel raising up our periapsis. Whoops, a bit too much. 128 by 109. That is pretty good. And our 5 Kerbals will park here and await the docking of our next spacecraft. Looking at the contracts, it's a lot more of the same. Land on the moon, get data from the moon, put a satellite around the moon, put a satellite around Minmus. There's even one to plant another flag on Minmus. So as far as the game engine is concerned, it's not giving me a whole lot to go on. So what would you like to see? A new series, a new episode, a challenge? Let me know. I'm looking forward. But anyway, that's going to do it from me in this episode. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Saka. Like, share, and subscribe if you are so bold. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.